Do better. BEDDER-MEDA, taking the I out of media. Dewey Betterton, Raymond Rhodes, all of those things, just myself. I don't even know what I'm doing here these days. I just know I'm having a good time. Shout out to fun. I got a special guest in the building today, somebody who's really shaking things up in this 515 Des Moines culture scene. Somebody who's been getting tagged in everything. Everybody's like, if you want to do some video work, you got to use this guy. So I start seeing that. I'm like, okay, we got to find out who this guy is. And then you start paying attention and you see that he's a hard worker who just recently took the full-time leap to do video work, wants to be a director, who's going to do incredible things, who actually has a creator meetup coming up in September, which is so cool. We're going to talk about that as well. We have the I don't know what to call him. I was going to say the new guy on the scene, but that's not even fair. But definitely we have a disruptor who plans to come in here and make everybody's videos look better. Show him Bubba Staley.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm glad to be here. I really appreciate it. It means a lot, man. Honestly.
Absolutely. We're glad you're here.
Never really been on a podcast before, so my nerves are high, but you're a really cool dude, and the whole setup is sick. So I feel a lot better being here.
You're used to being on the other side, right?
Honestly, I am. It's so weird. It's so weird.
Yeah. Actually, we had Alex Arthur here, and also incredible at what he does, but done a lot of it behind the scenes,
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the interviews. Like, I've never really done a ton of interviews, stuff like that. But he had a great time, and it was a great interview, and people got a lot from it. So
yes, sir.
I think we'll get the same here. So why don't you kind of tell people how, you are from Des Moines, correct?
Yes, sir. Born and raised.
Where? Because how people be, depending on what high school you went to, stuff like that. Why don't you talk about growing up in Des Moines a little bit?
I was born and raised on the south side of Des Moines, lived there most of my life. I went to Weeks Middle School and Lincoln High. I went to 2 different elementary schools. Yeah, it was fun. We mostly stayed on Southeast 14th, right off Southeast 14th. That wasn't the best neighborhood, I will say. There's a lot of fun times there. One would say, but no, the South Side's been good. I think that Iowa and Des Moines as a whole it's definitely been good to me specifically.
For sure.
I think that I've been able to make a lot of connections through family members and just people that genuinely just find me to be a cool dude. So I think that's a big thing. And on the South Side, there's so many people over there. Between that and downtown, it is insane. So I'm definitely planning on moving out of state soon, but Iowa and Des Moines will always be my home. I'll always rep this place, and I'll always come back and do events and all that fun stuff. So.
Absolutely. So for someone who's grown up here, how would you classify, or what would you use to describe a Des Moines culture? Because it's kind of a Midwest city. It's what do you think makes it unique here?
I think what makes it unique is all the different faces. I think that no matter where you look, it's different ethnicities, different backgrounds, and they're all still chasing and thriving towards one overall goal, whether it be art or music or whatever it is. You know what I mean? They're just, either way, they're still focused on that one thing. And I see a lot of drive in the city. I see a lot of people that are consistently out there doing this stuff, but I also see a lot of people that...
You're one of them.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I see a lot of people that don't have the means to do it. They don't have the resources and stuff. And that's kind of what I want to do before I leave is kind of make a platform for people to be able to step up onto and kind of get a start on. Because if I had that when I was younger, I would have started in film a long time ago. I didn't start filmmaking until I was in 12th grade. And that's awful. I mean, like all the resources I could have gotten from schooling and learning and stuff, I took theater and knew it was, as soon as I picked up that camera, I knew it was what I wanted to do. And before that, I never thought about that. I barely took photos. But yeah, I think that the one word I would use to describe it is unique.
For sure.
Honestly.
So let me ask you then, as you say that, what is something you think people can do for young people to be able to see like some opportunities that are afforded to them, whether it's, audio, video, creating that you don't necessarily get from school? What do you think we can do?
I feel like one thing, and people probably preach this all the time, but honestly, I genuinely think that it's just networking and meeting people and just being nice. I think that can genuinely give you a step up in the world.
Nice.
Honestly, it really is, man. It's that Midwest nice. But I think that that's the main thing. I think that if more creators and more artists were just genuinely more open and friendly in a sense, not that everyone's disrespectful, but it can be kind of scary when you're breaking into new scenes. You feel like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here, or I'm not solidified enough in order to be in this crowd.
Maybe.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's kind of scary. It can be very scary when you're first getting started out. So I think that the one thing people here can do is maybe be a little bit more friendly and open about not necessarily giving out free work, because I know everyone's got to work for everything, but maybe giving them advice or being a little bit more in tune to those Des Moines, Iowa's content creator groups or filmmaking groups and photo groups, and just dropping tips and things that can genuinely help these people that don't have that ability to go to school or know where to start.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I agree with you. And that's actually a super unique perspective to say something like it can be scary because, a lot of times, you have to look like you already have it figured out. Everybody wants
confidence is key.
Everybody wants you to look like you're already rich or look like you've already made it, like as if there's no journey, and a lot of times you won't hear creators, artists in general talk about fear.
100%.
You won't hear that. So it was very unique to hear you say that. So I would kind of throw it back to you, and maybe you can elaborate a little more on how you are overcoming that, or what are some things you're doing to still, get to where you want to get while knowing that there might be some fear there.
Honestly, man, I'm pretty scared every day when it comes to it. I mean, I kind of just recently became freelance about 2 months ago. So I think that specifically kind of allowed me to take a huge risk. And if there's no fear in taking a risk, then it's not a risk worth taking. I think that 100% you're going to want to make sure that regardless of what you're doing, there's some sort of fear of failing, because if you fail, then you're going to learn from it. But if you succeed, you're going to learn from it. Not only are you going to succeed and it do something good for you, potentially maybe you want to fail sometimes, not on purpose, but because that's the only way to grow. The only way to grow and learn is to have setbacks and have things that hold you back. And I feel like me specifically as a person, I've had a lot of setbacks and a lot of things that it was kind of just me that I had to overcome. It's like negativity in everyday life, just being around people that are negative and not supportive and that think that your dream is small. It's not on them to appreciate my dream, or fight for it, but it is on them to at least show me some respect when it comes to it, in my sense. And I think it's about who you put yourself around really makes a difference. You can definitely do this on your own, but if you're really trying to get out there, it's really about who you have around you that support you and that are willing to help you with your creative outlooks,
Absolutely. And it's funny that you say that, because a lot of people do think they can do things alone, and it's totally understandable, because it's hard to trust people. It's hard to figure out who you can work well with. But I say a lot, like, you don't ever see somebody, minus like a Kanye or something, you don't ever see anybody go and accept an award and be like, I would just like to thank me, and only me, because I got myself here and I did all this myself. You just never hear that. So when I think about that, I'm like, well, there's a reason for that. And I'm willing to accept that there's a reason for that. And sometimes, like, I feel like I say that to other people and they'll be like, well, I'm doing it all myself. Like, okay. But at that top level, we're all trying to get, you don't ever hear anybody say, I did this all on my own. I did this alone. Yeah. And so what you said made me think of that, because you can't do it on your own. Right. Maybe you can, but data isn't showing us that you can do it on your own.
Right. Results speak for themselves. I personally went from working on my own.
I believe that.
It is 100%. Like the receipts are there. And if you look at them and you take them into account, especially if you're working with other people, you can not only look at your receipts, but look at their receipts. You can see what's worked for them, but also what hasn't worked for them and grow from it. And if you're not somebody who's willing to soak that in, like you said earlier when we were talking off the pod, you were saying how you're a sponge. You soaked all this stuff up and you've learned. I think that's amazing. That's the key thing, whether it's YouTube, whether it's just being around people and going to events that you don't feel comfortable at and just sitting there. Someone's going to see you. Someone's going to talk to you, especially if you consistently show up. There's a lot of people out there right now that are really trying to drive support in the city, but they're kind of being taken as like mediocre or not professional because they're just starting out and they're just basically using other people's content to post it on their page. But it's not like they're trying to get monetized from it. They're trying to give back and help. And if they do get monetized from it, they're giving back to those people that help them.
Absolutely.
In a sense. It's not just, I'm going to use your content to get famous.
And honestly, something else too is, like, if you're not a sponge, sometimes you come off like you don't care what somebody else has to say. And you might not know who that person is or what they're bringing to the 100%. Table. So I want people to feel like, you know what I'm saying, that I'm listening to them, or that, I care about what they have to say. I'm invested in the moment, put my phone down, whatever, because you don't know where those connections are going to be made. Right. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times I think some people get in their own way and they don't even realize it. But it speaks back to that fear again, because I think a lot of it is we're like overcompensating. Yeah. And sometimes it's like out of that fear, it's like, there's a little bit of ooga booga, a little bit of posturing, we go back to our, what we know best, and that's sitting, exactly.
Corporate in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like and in reality, that's not the case.
No.
So, but that's why I love what you said about results, because I feel the same way. It's like, I think sometimes people think it's robotic or, you lack empathy or something, but it's like, no, I'm just trying to remove how I feel and say, we have the results from this situation. Let's just look at those.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the results you want, why are you angry?
Yeah, it's simple analysis. Dude.
Absolutely.
That's all
100%.
That's all it is.
It's all, I call it real world data.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people don't want to use real world data.
It's just like a theory.
Yeah,
you got to try something.
Yeah, I'll see somebody post something or something, and I want to go to that post and say, who are they? Like, just tell me who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Or they'll say, everyone feels this way, and it'll be some wild, crazy view, and I'll be like, okay, just tag me in one post of a person we know.
That feels that way.
One. And they'll be like, oh, it's the other people. We have real world data. Exactly. Yeah. So we have a world happening around us. And I understand, like, it almost makes me sound like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, I'm very big on real world data. You just look around you. It's like, and people be like, oh, everybody just says that for a reason. Why? Why does everybody say MediaCom sucks?
Specific.
Or whatever, like what it might be. It's like, it might not be great. It's like, it's okay. Or if someone says, hey, that's lit, that place or that business or that guy or whatever, it's like, there's a reason for that. We have the data, so yeah, I'm really big on that. So no, I appreciate the engaging conversation, but you're the star of the show. So grew up in Des Moines, but didn't find a camera until
12th grade.
Yes,
so
sir. Almost 18
years old. Yep,
okay, cool. So what inspired that? What was something that made you feel like I want to be behind a camera?
So to get a little goofy about it, so back in the day, from about 9th grade all the way up to 10th grade, my buddies Preston and Blake, they actually do local wrestling here. They're professional wrestlers.
I'd love to have them on. That's super cool.
That's amazing. Now I'll let them know for sure. They used to be in a tag match called Supernova, but they had a kind of a split, on camera. They're still cool behind scenes, but basically, so to put it into perspective, they had this dream of becoming professional wrestlers. I, being that guy who just wanted to hang out with them, back in the day, I hung out with a lot of people that got me in trouble. We were running the streets. I was doing stuff I shouldn't have done. And then I kind of found those people in school that they allowed me to be a nerd and a geek. I'm a geek. I know everything from Marvel, Image, DC, everything.
Me too, man. I call myself a nerd all the
time. 100%. And they allowed me to express that, freely without judging me, but also like allowing me to feel good about it, not to feel bad. And also like helping, like when I engaged in a conversation about like, oh, why the gray Hulk from the old days is better than the new green Hulk from, nowadays, they're not going to be like, oh, shut up. They're going to debate with me about this super nerdy thing that doesn't matter, But basically they had this dream. They wanted to be wrestlers. So they had my buddy Preston had a huge backyard in his grandma's backyard, and he got a giant trampoline. I think we went through like 4 trampolines. And they needed somebody to beat up on. And I was the biggest kid in our group. Me and this kid named Jamie. Jamie, he was chill. He's a cool kid. But they needed test dummies. And they would just beat us up and use us. And I got into it.
Sounds like a party.
It was amazing. My stage name was Bubba the Beast Staley.
Of course.
And I did the Bubba Bomb. So if you know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is, look. Tap in, man. The whole group was Iowa Wrestling Boys. It was IWB, and it was really cool. But like, who Stone Cold Steve Austin is?
Yeah, of course.
So his stunner?
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was the Bubba Bomb, though. So he like kind of mixed it up. Don't sue us, no, just playing. But so it kind of started there. At first they were beating me up. They started moving to like just on the trampoline, throwing me off the trampoline to putting me through stuff like plywood, stuff like that. It was a lot. I let them do it for a while, and then I was done with it. I couldn't do it no more. And by that time I'd picked up a camera. So then they was like, okay, they've been doing this for a while. They stuck to it. I backed out for a year and a half and then got into the camera thing. My friend Blake actually got me into cameras because we used to also film like old school Star Wars movies and skits and a bunch of stuff. But as soon as I picked up that camera and he realized that, like, he just exploded with knowledge and fun. He used to do stop motion Lego videos from back in the day when he was like 8 and stuff. And it was so cool being around somebody who had that creative expression that I've never seen before. And I just picked up a camera at 18 years old. I'm like, this is insane. Like all the stuff I could have done and the way I could have, carried myself as far as like learning and growing. He was able to kind of give me that within a matter of just me hanging out with a friend, just kicking it with a homie. And it was really cool. And
That's awesome.
And so back to like the Iowa Wrestling Boys, basically they said, hey, take our phone and start recording the matches. We're going to get them up on YouTube, this and that. We didn't have a massive following, but some people tuned in. It was pretty cool. And then it kind of went from there to us filming little videos and skits to me taking some writing classes in school right before I graduated and really got into scripting and writing. And it was cool. It was cool. I had a good time. I will say, I think the biggest part for me starting out with them was specifically telling them that I couldn't be beat up no more, but I still wanted to be a part of it.
Well, also I wonder if you started to realize you had a vision for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To where like you could see like, oh, this would look cool like this. Or were you a wrestling fan as well?
Yeah, I watch wrestling a lot.
So you probably were also looking at what they were doing.
Man. And yeah, my friend Blake, he would always talk shop with me about that, but then we never really did it. We were just like, oh, we'll come across it.
But the thoughts were there.
Exactly.
And you were so you were already seeing that while it was thrown through the tables.
Yeah, we did a lot of stuff off of the top of his grandma's shed.
This footage still exists?
It does, yeah. I can
find
get it
in the interwebs.
100%.
I can put some in here right now.
100%, man. You really can. I can get you their page.
You getting body slammed in here right now.
I promise you. There's a whole
I'm not
intro.
an editor, but I'm learning. I'm good enough to do things like that. I think that'd be funny.
Yeah, I definitely can. That'd be hilarious.
So that's an interesting way of having found your way into. Because, so do you feel like you are into the hip hop culture or the music culture? Maybe
I would say so. The only reason I would say that is I've worked with multiple artists.
Well, that's what I'm saying in your work. So I'm talking about your work. Have you found yourself kind of also stepping into that?
I feel like I went with more of like a Tyler the Creator vibe when I first started filming. It was very bright, hazy, very colorful. But I definitely do want to break into the more like gritty music, street, contrasty kind of thing. I've been actually doing a lot of stuff with C-Rob lately. Man. Yeah, he's amazing. Shout out to C-Rob. He'll be back up here again. He's so cool, man. He's so chill.
He's an interesting cat for sure.
Yeah, facts. And he's the kind of like I want to get more like I would say more like unique style shooting where it's kind of like contrasty and gritty.
So did you do the Joker theme shot?
Oh, I did do that. Yes, sir.
So I can probably, if he's cool with it, I can also throw that in there. But
100%.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate
that. Now, granted, I'm very big on. There also is idea behind it.
Yeah,
because the shooting is. I'm not going to take anything away from.
It's all about concept.
But it's all about concept. You got to have that, and so it looks really dope.
I try to explain that to some of the artists in the city that want to work with me, and I'm like, it's all about concept. If you can hit me with a concept, a couple of like inspiration videos or photo shots, like. I can do it all my own, but if you hit me with that concept, we can make your vision fly, But some of them are like, I don't really want to do that. I'm paying you, make it all up. And I'm like, it's your vision though. It's not my song. It's not my vision,
So let's talk about, there's the creative side and then there's the work side.
Yeah.
So like, what are some things that you also do for work, for lack of a better word, or from weddings to parties to what other things do you do behind the camera? Is it photos, videos? Is it just video? Is it editing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely guess. So as of right now, being freelance for the first 2 months, about 2.5 months, I've done a lot of commercial and corporate shoots. I've filmed a fashion ad for Sebastian Cho. Yeah, actually,
shout out, man.
Yeah, John Martin, he's amazing.
John, me and John should probably be doing some cool stuff together.
He's so cool.
Yeah, no, I've another one. That's like just known a long time, and just kind of seen the grind. And dude, always been positive, and I love that.
Yeah,
you don't never know what somebody going through.
No,
so when you run into somebody and they always make you feel a little better, I try to do that as well. It's like that matters.
It does. It goes a long way.
Shout out to John. Yeah. I hope we do some cool stuff together. He wanted to do a book club, which I love.
Yeah,
like a recording.
He invited me to that too. That would be
awesome. Yeah, that would be super cool. So I hope to do more with him for sure.
Yeah.
So I saw that as well.
Yeah,
Came out really good.
That was cool. I was excited. There's a lot more coming out. He's been really busy. The other guy so we went to California and we shot out there. He paid for us to go out there, which I can't thank him enough. My dream is to shoot video and film on the streets of LA just because I want to get in tune with that more music culture, honestly, like you were saying. And I feel like that's the place to do it. When I was out there, I felt more myself than I ever have being here. And I don't know if that's just me from being in Iowa, small town, going somewhere and seeing how huge it is. But I've been to Tennessee, I've been to Florida, I've been to a few places, I've been to Vegas, but like nowhere out there made me feel like it did when I was in Cali. But shooting out there with him, it was cool. It was a big experience. It was really cool. Since I've been back, I've set up 2 shoots with C-Rob. I'm actually filming 5 reels for him this upcoming week consistently, which is really exciting. I've never actually shot like back-to-back reels like that within a full week span, so that's pretty cool. I just shot my first wedding yesterday with my wife. It was really cool. We're trying to get more into like the video photo packaging stuff. She still works a job. She actually supports me like 100%. She's amazing. That. She works at a vet clinic and she pays our bills now. We were staying in like a 3-bedroom duplex when I was working, but then as soon as like let's just say the complications happened, and I
life
found
be
myself
lifing.
life be life, and I love that saying. I really do. Yeah, she was a rock, man. She basically was like, you know what, we're gonna move somewhere smaller. You're gonna not get a job. You're gonna focus on filmmaking 100%. I'll help out where I can. I'll do photos where I can. You know, I can market stuff for you. And yeah, she's been cool. But
That's awesome. No,
yeah,
I love
I
that.
love her so much. She's amazing. She's amazing. But to bring it back around to like what I have going on, like what I've been doing, I
Or
feel
some
like
things you want to do, like,
yeah,
some things you're hoping to do.
yeah. So as far as like the business aspect of things, I'm trying to do more documentary style stuff. I really want to shoot a documentary. I'm actually
Me too.
my
I do too,
yeah,
actually.
it'd be so cool. I'd love to work on one with you if you get a
And
chance.
actually,
You know?
I've always kind of, for lack of a better word, like documented things.
Yeah.
So I have every cloud that I've had since 2010
Oh,
when I got
yeah.
here. So like I have hundreds and hundreds of all kinds of videos of all kinds of rappers and people and just so many
That's
things.
amazing.
But actually, I want to do one about the power of social media.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people say things like social media isn't real or it's only used for negativity and things like that. And I understand that, but I've spent a long time like curating content, for lack of a better word, of social media, doing incredibly powerful things behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Like I've been to funerals for people I've never met because they
Right.
wanted me there. I've gotten money sent to me. I've sent money. I mean, I'm not saying once, 10 times, 50 times. Like an entire like beautiful, amazing story has happened behind the scenes on social media, like with people I've inspired and who have inspired me, and conversations and real world things.
Mhm.
And I want to present that in a package because I do want to kind of call the bluff of people who say how bad social media is, because I think some of them have kind of a bad life or a bad outlook, and therefore
Yeah.
they want to be able to say nothing good can happen here. Well, yes, it does if you intervene in someone's situation and send them money for dinner.
No,
Yes, it
facts.
does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. No, it does if you are opening up online and being yourself. Hey, I'm raising a
100%.
kid alone. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Hey, I have terrible anxieties. Hey, I go through this. I don't have food, all these things, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm trying. I'm keep pushing. No, actually, it's kind of crazy. But if you be yourself, people are like, oh, how cool is that?
Yeah.
So social media is very powerful. And I
It
really
is.
hope to be able to do a documentary about the positive effects it can have.
Yeah. I'd
if you're
absolutely love to
using
help
it
you out
that
with
way.
that. That'd be amazing, dude. That'd be awesome.
But yeah, speaking of documentaries, that's something that's super cool.
That the whole social media thing. Now that you say that, so I actually hung out with a cat. His name is Alan. He owns Real Vision Media. They're a real estate company, but he didn't always do real estate videos. He started out kind of like I did
Here in Des Moines?
Yeah, straight in Des Moines.
I deal with some real estate guys that I'd be interested in meeting them.
Yeah, so I met him one night at Lefty's, and we really didn't talk much. I followed him, he followed me. We kind of followed each other's journeys and everything. And then next thing you know, one day he hit me up and was like, "Hey man, I own a real estate videography company, and I'm looking for intern and workers. Are you interested?" And I said yes, and he's been amazing ever since. He's teaching me a lot. It's really cool. But I will say there's some hiccups. There's some things that everyone fumbles the bag a few times. I've fumbled that bag, and it was cool. He was very respectful and very, very calm in figuring that out, as I was very, cool in taking care of what I needed to. But to say that, like, the whole social media thing, he basically was like, "Hey, come work with me. I'll train you. I'll get you ready. We can get you locked in, and we can go from there." So yeah, I said, I didn't have nothing else going on. I just lost my job, and I was like, that'd be amazing. He offered to pay me as well. So I was like, that's awesome. And that was all through the power of social media. That was just me meeting him, talking to him, and us following each other's journeys for the next 3.5 years. And then he hits me up and he gives me a job, and like, that's amazing.
That's incredible.
He's given me gear, so much stuff to just better me in my creating. And I can't thank him enough. It's amazing.
A very real place.
Yeah.
And the people who, and that's fine, but those people are living inside of a certain bubble they want to be in anyway.
100%.
Because social media can take you all kinds of places and can connect you with all kinds of people.
It really can.
So there's like a meme I always see that, like, the real flex is how you can impact people. And it's like, you can impact people on social media.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You could be getting messages. So you're like, it's a real thing. It's a very real thing.
I was doing TikTok for a while. I think it was between 2021 and 2022, like right after the pandemic and everything. And it was just nothing but me just doing talking heads, telling people not to give up, telling people how to use their camera, stuff like that. And I got more positive feedback on that than anything else I posted. It was just genuine reactions, genuine people reaching out, being like, "This is amazing." A lot of them weren't even in the States; they were from out of state, and they're like, "This is great." And then the people that were in the state was like, this is why we hit you up to work with you. And I'm like, oh, well, I was just making this just to make it. I didn't think that this was going to give me clients or anything like that. And so I've been shooting video work since 2018, and I didn't charge anybody for it until the beginning of 2024. I didn't get paid a dime. I've shot so much stuff for free just to help out, just to learn, just to grow, to soak everything in. A lot of people say I'm stupid for that, you know, and
that all
that's
the time.
Fair, you know. Maybe
people
I
have stopped being my friend because I'm not businessy enough.
Honestly, and like I feel like there's a time and a place to grow. I wasn't in the place to. I have a couple of friends that are like that too. It's like that. I love,
but I understand that side too. I'm trying to figure it out. That's why I want to get around the right people.
Exactly. It's not their, you know, responsibility.
There's people who were supposed to pay for studio time now that I just didn't have it in me to be like, you know, and they even offered it, or was like, and then it didn't happen. Like, it's no big deal to me.
Yeah.
But in reality, those few transactions are how you get where you're going.
Yeah,
when you pay for it out of pocket, you know.
And I think I've started to see that. But like my philosophy on it, my thought process was that when I first started picking up a camera, every single person that let me shoot them was helping me out. They gave me a way to express myself and learn. Not only did they do that, they allowed me to work with them, to grow, to figure out things that I've never figured out before, as far as like media in general, anything. Like I didn't know how to mix a song. I don't know how to do anything. Like I figured all that out now. I can take a couple different audios from someone's song if I'm doing a video. I did it for C-Rob for this Cuff Life. Shout out to them too. They're really cool. I like them a lot. They're a skateboarding brand. I don't know if they're based in the Midwest or not. I'm not too sure. He wasn't really specific about that, but they're really cool. Anyways, I had to take him and Dewey's song and chop it up a little bit because I love Dewey. He's amazing. He's a super cool guy. But the promo itself was for C-Rob, and C-Rob comes in after Dewey on the song, but the intro hits really hard with the edit. So I had to take the beginning of the song, chop Dewey's part out, not in like a mean way or anything. I swear, I love you, Dewey. I promise. Like you're the homie. I just for the content's sake itself, and put C-Rob's there. It was really hard, but back in the day, I had never know how to figure that out. You know,
for sure.
Working with people like Drac and Sight Lives and C-Rob, they kind of showed me how to do this stuff in a sense. And I picked up things watching them and just learning, like you said, like a sponge. So yeah.
And that's what brings us to Grand Digital Media.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, hold on. I'm going to take the time to take some ownership over what happened here because the battery died. And that's my fault. But still learning. And the content kept going.
Yeah.
Y'all got to keep listening. But I wanted to acknowledge it. That was my fault. Speaking of Grand Digital Media, they're putting on an event. That's a big deal that we're going to talk about here soon. So you want to give people a little teaser. You kind of tell them when it is, and then they can tune in to part 2 of this episode to hear all about it. So 100%. Just tell them what it is and where it is.
So what I'm going to be doing is starting a creators event. In its
simplest
meetup.
form. Yep.
It's super cool. A creative expression meetup for all sorts of creatives. It's going to be at the Jamie Hurd Amphitheater in West Des Moines from September 6th from 1:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. It's going to be really cool. We're going to have a lot of vendors, a lot of expressive art expressions, and a lot of performers. So, yeah.
And we're going to talk all about it on the next episode. So that will actually shoot right now here today, but y'all might not see it on this first one. But I'm really glad you were here. This is dope. Now we're going to get into that super cool event.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
And we'll get right back to the people.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.